Welcome to the podcast to Philippe. And today we're diving deep into the world of AI translation. We're going to be looking at a company called Translated and their new tool, Lara. So think Google Translate, but maybe like way better.
Yeah, like a serious upgrade.
Exactly. And we're going to explore like how it actually works
Yeah.
and how it compares to some of the giants out there like Google Translate and what makes Lara so unique.
I think it's interesting to note that, Translated has been around for a while, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were founded way back in 1999 by Marco Trombetti, who's a computer scientist, and Isabelle Andrieux, who's a linguist. So they've always had this kind of this blend of technology and language expertise from the very beginning.
Okay, so that's interesting. They actually have experience.
Yeah.
So they've been working with these like major companies like Airbnb and SpaceX for quite a while,
Right.
but now they've made Lara available to like everyone.
To the public.
Yeah, so like what sets it apart from, those everyday translation tools we're all using?
Yeah, so I think one of the key things is accuracy. Lara isn't just translating word for word. It's trained on this massive database of professional human translations.
Oh, wow.
Like millions of them, like 25 million, which represents something like 1.2 million hours of actual human translation work.
So it's learning from the best.
Yeah, exactly.
But is there not like a risk that the AI will still make mistakes?
Well, that's where the human element comes in.
Okay.
Every translation that Lara produces is reviewed and kind of refined by professional human translators.
Oh, wow. So there are people who are.
Yeah, they provide feedback, they make corrections, and they essentially kind of teach Lara to be more accurate and more contextually aware.
So it's like a partnership
Exactly.
between AI and human expertise.
Yeah, it's a collaboration.
So how does this actually work in practice? Can you give me an example of how Lara might handle a complex sentence that Google Translate might kind of trip up on?
Yeah, so let's say you have a sentence like, "The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak."
Okay.
This is like a proverb with a lot of metaphorical meaning. A simple translation tool might just translate the words literally.
Yeah.
But Lara would be able to kind of recognize the idiomatic expression
Interesting.
and translate it in a way that preserves that meaning.
So it understands the meaning.
It gets the deeper meaning, yeah.
That's really cool. So Lara isn't just about technical accuracy.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the meaning behind the words.
And the cultural context.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's something that sets it apart from Google Translate, which kind of focuses on speed,
Yeah.
quantity,
Yeah, quantity of language.
over quality.
Exactly.
And I was also curious about this idea of perfect translation that they're always talking about.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean?
So their goal is that by 2026, Lara is going to be so good that a human translator would only need a second per word to review its output.
Really?
It's not about replacing human translators.
Oh, okay.
It's about making them more efficient.
So it's like a tool to help the translator.
Yeah, like a super powerful assistant.
That makes sense. And this brings us to another kind of unique feature of Lara, which is explainability.
Yeah.
So unlike a lot of AI tools out there, Lara can actually explain why it chose a particular word or phrase.
That's right.
Wow, that's pretty cool. How does that work?
So it draws on that vast database of human translations that we talked about.
Okay.
And it uses its contextual analysis and all the feedback from the professional translators who review its work.
Right.
And so it can actually kind of show its work.
So you can see why it chose this word over that word.
And you can see the reasoning.
That's amazing. I imagine that would be valuable for professional translations.
Yeah, or anything where accuracy is really important.
So what about languages beyond the major ones? How many languages does it actually support?
So right now, Lara focuses on the 11 most used languages in the world.
Okay.
But their goal is to eventually support something like 200 languages.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're starting with quality over quantity, making sure the translations are really accurate and nuanced before they expand too quickly.
So it's a slow and steady approach.
Yeah, a very deliberate approach.
And that's kind of at the heart of Translated's philosophy, isn't it?
Yeah, they're not just chasing the latest trends in AI. They're using technology to really augment human capabilities and create a better way to communicate across cultures.
That's a nice vision.
Yeah.
It's not about replacing humans.
Yeah.
It's about empowering them.
It's really interesting to see how much progress they've made in such a complex field.
Yeah, it's exciting.
And they're not just stopping at text translation either.
No, they're moving into audio translation.
That's right. They're actually developing their own technology for that.
Yeah, in-house technology, which they plan to release next year.
Wow.
It's a really ambitious goal.
It is.
But if they can pull it off, it could totally revolutionize the way we communicate.
Imagine a world where language is no longer a barrier.
Yeah, where you can talk to anyone, anywhere, regardless of what language they speak.
That's amazing.
It's a powerful vision.
It is. And it speaks to the core of their mission, which is to make communication effortless and to foster understanding and connection between people all over the world. And that's what's so fascinating about friends. Like, their vision isn't just about the technology, it's about people.
Yeah.
You know, Marco Trombetti, one of the founders, he always talks about how learning languages helps you understand different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really reflected in their work.
Yeah, I actually read an article about that where he really actively encourages like multilingualism in his own family.
Yeah, he really does.
Wow.
And he believes that it's like crucial for fostering global understanding. It's about making connections, not just translating words.
Right, and you can really see that in Lara's design.
Yeah.
It's not just a purely technical approach.
No, it's about understanding the intent.
Yeah, the nuances.
The meaning behind the words.
And they've even built in some features that address like cultural bias. For example, I read that when translating something like the doctor and the nurse, Lara might actually ask the user to clarify the genders.
You know, because
Yeah.
different languages have different conventions.
It's pretty cool. So it's like engaging in a dialogue with the user
Yeah.
to ensure accuracy
Exactly.
and cultural sensitivity.
It really highlights the fact that translation is more than just a linguistic skill.
Right.
It's a cultural skill.
Yeah.
You need to understand the unspoken assumptions, the values
Yeah, the
that
context.
shape the way people use language.
And that brings us to an interesting point. You know, Translated is a European company,
Yes, very much so.
and they're quite proud of that.
Yeah.
The article actually mentioned that they chose to launch Lara as a European product first.
Yeah. They wanted to
Wow.
highlight their commitment to European languages and cultures.
Right. Did they say why?
Well, they mentioned that they pay their taxes in Italy with pleasure, as they say.
Oh, wow.
So it's a conscious decision to be rooted in Europe.
So I wonder if that brings a different perspective to AI development.
I think it does.
Maybe one that prioritizes ethical considerations
Definitely.
and cultural sensitivity.
Yeah, alongside those technological innovations.
Because, you know, it's interesting to contrast that with the dominance of American tech giants in the AI space.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you think about how AI is shaped by its creators.
Yeah, and how those values can be reflected in the technology itself.
But even with the best intentions, there must be challenges in achieving this level of accuracy.
Oh, absolutely. One of the biggest challenges is training data.
Okay.
You know, early AI models were often trained on things like official EU publications, which are,
Okay.
you know, kind of limited data sets and can lead to bias.
You wouldn't want your translation tool to be like spouting bureaucratic jargon
Exactly.
or reflecting a specific political perspective.
Yeah, and Google Translate actually tried training its AI on all the translated websites in the world.
Boy.
But the quality was all over the place.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what is Translated doing differently?
Well, they're taking a much more curated approach,
Okay.
focusing on quality over quantity.
So it's not just about having a lot of data.
No,
It's about having the right kind of data.
exactly. And they're also really focused on making sure that data is diverse, representing a wide range of languages and cultural perspectives.
But even with the high quality data, there's still the issue of context.
Right.
How does Lara handle those situations where the meaning depends on, the surrounding text?
Well, that's where their focus on contextual analysis comes in.
Okay.
Lara doesn't just translate word for word.
Right.
It analyzes the entire text
To
to
understand.
understand the overall meaning, the intent, the emotion behind the words.
So it's like Lara's reading between the lines.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool. And it can even ask the user clarifying questions.
Yeah.
It's not just translating, it's engaging in a dialogue to ensure accuracy.
It really is like having a conversation with a translator
Yeah.
rather than just using a tool.
But even with all these features, developing an AI that can truly understand and translate human language,
It's a huge task.
it's a monumental task.
But Translated seems to be taking all the right steps,
Yeah.
combining cutting-edge technology with a deep respect for language and culture. And that's what makes their work so exciting.
It really is remarkable to see how far they've come in this area.
Yeah, it's incredible how much progress they've made.
And they're not stopping at text translation either.
No, they're not. They're moving into audio translation in real time.
Real time. That's right. They're developing their own in-house technology for that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be released next year sometime.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a really ambitious project.
It is, but if they can actually pull it off, it could like completely change the way we communicate.
Yeah, it's a game changer for sure.
Imagine like a world where language is no longer a barrier.
Exactly. You can just talk to anyone, anywhere, no matter what language they speak.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to the core of Translated's mission.
What do you mean?
Like to make communication effortless.
Right.
To help people understand each other.
Convince.
Adapt across cultures.
So we've covered a lot in this deep dive today.
Yeah, we have.
Like everything from the technical details of how Lara's algorithms work.
Yeah, all the way to the broader cultural and philosophical implications of AI-powered translation.
What stands out most to you?
I think it's their commitment to human-centered AI.
Okay.
Like, they're not just building technology for technology's sake.
Yeah.
They're building technology that actually serves human needs.
Makes sense.
Technology that enhances our ability to connect with each other and understand the world around us.
I think that's an important point.
It is.
Like AI is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Yeah.
It's really up to us to make sure that it's developed and used in a way that benefits humanity as a whole.
And I think Translated is setting a good example of how to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
They're using AI to break down barriers to promote understanding between cultures.
This has been a really interesting conversation.
It has been.
I hope our listeners found it as insightful as we have.
If you're interested in learning more about Lara and maybe even trying it out yourself, you can find more information on Translated's website.
And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like this video for more deep dives into the world of cutting-edge technology and innovation.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us on Le Podcast de Philippe.